Hey guys, Coaster Erected coming at you with my top 10 coasters at Six Flags over Georgia. I was able to go to this park over Thanksgiving break, and I thought it was a pretty great park. For what coasters they definitely had a good selection of them. So, this is the top 10 coasters at Six Flags over Georgia. At number 10, we have the Joker Funhouse coaster. This was originally known as Wile E. Coyote Canyon Blaster, but is being repainted and rethemed for the 2016 season with the kid section update. So, it's an okay coaster, good for the kids. Just okay in general, just baseline okay. So, moving on to number 9, we have the Georgia Cyclone. This is a pretty rough, like 90. It opened in 1990, so it's not that old, but it's a den coaster. That's probably the worst thing about it, honestly. So, it's not that great. It does have some decent airtime here and there, but I much prefer Viper at Six Flags Great America, which is another Cyclone. So, moving on to number 8, we have the Dalai Megamind train. This is actually a pretty good mine train. It's one of the older ones out there. The first being obviously the one at Over Texas, but this one has some good airtime, especially in that last hill. This thing has 3 lift hills, which is actually pretty strange, but it hugs the ground pretty much the entire time. And it actually has a surprising airtime in the very back on that last drop, so a nice little family coaster. At number 7, we have the Great American Scream Machine, a PTC creation. This one's a lot better than the Georgia Cyclone, but it's not that high on the list because it's obviously a little rough. I do love how it goes over the water and it interacts with the water a lot, and it's pretty cool. So it's good. Moving on to number 6, we have the Georgia Scorcher, my first stand-up. I thought I was gonna hate it, but I actually rather enjoyed it myself. It was a really good coaster, pretty smooth. There was no rattle, or at least what I could tell. There was next to no rattle, and the drop was good, the loop was fun. The corkscrew was not nearly as headbanging as I thought it was. It was pretty much not headbanging at all. The only thing I would complain about is that I kind of got stuck on the brake run for a good 10 minutes, and that wasn't too pleasant because I wasn't fully standing up because I sat myself in a squatting position for the ride. But I'd recommend personally fully standing up on this ride. So, moving on to number 5, we have Batman the Ride. This is obviously just a Batman clone. Pull some serious G's like usual, but as always, great ride. So, on to number 4, we have Mindbender, a Schwarzkopf looper. This one is still really smooth. There's only like one section where it's rough, and that's the turn going into the second loop. That one, I thought the pull out from the drop is just a little bit too sharp and just a little bit too rattly. But other than that, this coaster is pretty fantastic. It's pretty forceful going through the loops. I don't know the exact G's, but it's still really good. So, moving on to number 3, we have Superman Ultimate Flight. I'm going to be honest here, I did not ride this one just due to the fact it was not open with Holiday in the park. So that was honestly pretty disappointing because I love flying coasters, and this is supposed to be the best of the Superman Ultimate Flight because it actually interacts with the terrain a bit because this was the park it was originally intended for. So unfortunately, I was not able to ride this, but I have ridden the Great America version, and it's an awesome coaster. So on to number 2. We have Daredevil Dive. This was my first Gerstlauer Eurofighter, and it was a very nice, very smooth, and awesome coaster. The vertical climb was definitely unnerving my first time, and the drop was awesome. Uh, I want to say it's as good as Maverick's 95-degree drop, but it's still a very good one. So, really good. The inversions were fun, especially that last inline twist, heartline roll, probably more of a heartline roll. So, awesome coaster. Moving on to number 1. At number 1, we have Goliath. Obviously, this is a fantastic B&M Hyper, very smooth. It's not the tallest B&M Hyper in the world, just over 200 feet, and the drop of only 170-ish, but it is a very forceful one, especially with those that double helix kind of thing, where it kind of expands. It's an awesome thing. It has a weird kind of box shape B&M or a Hyper layout, and it goes over the highway area where you go to park to pay for the parking, or if you have a pass, just hand them your pass and go into the parking lot. So that's really cool. So you can just go over the cars while there's while they're going under you, and you go back that way again, and you go around a lake. So it's a really nice and awesome coaster. So that's just my most favorite coaster at Six Flags over Georgia. Great coaster and a great park in general. I'd definitely recommend, if you have the chance, to go to it. Maybe if you have the choice between this and Great Adventure, I'd recommend going to Great Adventure, but this is definitely worth taking your time and going out to. So, thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe, and as always, keep coasting.